Vici Gaming versus T1 Game 2.
Is that pretty low? So you might want to just, we already discussed it, we already
Hello and welcome to game number 2 between Vici Gaming and T1. We're with the draft panel and we have changed Lacoste for Effie, Canadian Effie, sorry, apologies. And we have Effie here.
He had some issues, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so we decided that for this draft we should get people who play Dota till 4 a.m. as opposed to studying the team so you can get the best information about the heroes. Jenkins, how do you feel about that statement?
I think you shouldn't put people on blast for a million people.
Right, well, you know,
I think
I'm the host.
if he's Canadian Effie, I'm Jordanian Jenkins.
Oh, look at this. These guys actually behind the scenes
alliteration.
are best friends. They spend the whole time outside of the panel holding hands. So, Vici versus T1.
That is
We're
not
gonna-
COVID safe.
That's not true.
And
They socially distance.
Exactly.
Vici Gaming versus T1. What can you tell me about the expectations for Vici Gaming this game? Because they need to win this.
I think the Omni Night was interesting. It was an experiment, and it's likely that that experiment, they've decided that it was a failed experiment. I think
Yes.
it's a 39% win rate guy, and
You mean in Dota buff?
on Dota2ProTracker.com,
Did you know that he has a 0% win rate in TI right now?
yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You can purge all of the spells, which is quite an issue, and there's an item that you can buy that chain purges. That's one problem.
Yes, he lost 1 out of 1 game, so absolutely 0%
It's awful.
win
And those
rate.
stats are not good.
Yeah, no.
No, but I'm glad that Vici's going back to basics because Weaver is one of the best heroes that they had during groups, was one of their highest win rate heroes, and I don't know why, but during main event, Vici just strayed from their comfort, right? They were first using 11's heroes and they were picking their Weaver whenever they could, and it feels like they tried to be a little bit more experimental, maybe because they thought that they were studied. But I think for this game, they have to just play what they know.
Actually, a little tidbit for you, Effie, about PYW. He was one of the innovators of Weaver support back in the day when he was on Serenity, and that the hero started getting picked up a lot. So that's why he's so comfortable on the hero. It was back, and he's like, this is my TI, which I know you believe, Jenkins, because you have a great belief in Vici.
May I say something?
Okay, sure, other Jenkins.
There was, Jordanian Jenkins, thank you.
Apologies.
But there was a tweet that I remember by Jenkins. He said, I think Weaver is overpowered.
Jenkins, what do you think of that tweet about you?
I was right, and BSJ claimed that tweet immediately, as he does with things. He claims things as his own. He claimed he was North American, all of a sudden claims Europe as his main region.
He did show me a European passport, which he had just taken off some random
He's
person.
biased against everything.
I've
And
heard
so
it.
with Weaver, you know, the most annoying thing about this hero, honestly, the Aghanim shard, that's probably the most busted thing about the hero. You just can't counter it with Ghost Scepter. Invis doesn't counter it because it literally reveals. Yules doesn't take it off. Like, you have to sit there and hit the bug, which now that you have the bug hit talent,
At 15?
you get both the bug hit talent and the minus armor talent. Before, you had to choose between them. So the bugs are just incredibly powerful. And yeah, that's...
I know you said before or you can answer this, Effie, that Swarm is one of the strongest minus armor abilities in the game.
It is.
Absolutely, and with the whole the Invis reveal that it does, it's just given it so much more utility as a support, which is what you want. And before, when Weaver was played as a support just for his Aghanims, not the Shard, the Scepter, the issue with that was that it took time to come online, and then if they had some kind of draft that could hyper-focus on him, it would negate a lot of it away. But now that he's not even being played for that, his Vessel or Urn plus Shard timing is really fast. So I consider him a fast hero now.
We've spoken about Lina a lot here. We get a comfortable pick for Ori, and also a hero that has no bad matchups. Do you believe that, Jenkins? Effie likes to say that.
I think that's true. I do think that's true. So I think over the years, mid laners have gotten a lot better at playing in general. I remember speaking with Gunnar about Lina versus TA back when there were like no changes and TA was considered to be like somewhat of a Lina counter. But then just it progressed with no patches so that Lina countered TA. And I remember him telling me something along the lines of like, you buy an extra Fairy Fire, something like that. Like, you literally just need that little bit of extra damage, something like that specific. And I think the mid lane has been optimized to that point. And then on top of that, the runes also really help Lina. Like, she abuses the runes. Worst case scenario, she hits you and just pushes the wave and then farms jungle.
Can I add to that? Because you were actually making the same argument at a point where we were starting to say that Ember Spirit actually beats Monkey in the lane. And you were saying that exact thing, that it was because of the optimization of Ember Spirits and the armor, of course.
Did I say that? That sounds smart. I don't think I said that.
You did, actually. It was in the DI rebroadcast last year when you did it with Mundo.
Oh, all right. Yeah, no, that's another one of those matchups. I mean, I'm not a mid laner. I'm terrible. But they've figured it out. They've optimized it. I think the big thing with the Ember matchup was that they would push out the first wave with Flame Guard and like take the hits from Monkey King, but you then just choose to push it. And that sounds so simple now, but like back then it wasn't. That like wasn't the thing to do.
Effie, can we look at the T1 draft now? Monkey King Lion. What are the strengths of this opener?
So this opener is incredibly versatile just in the Monkey King pick alone. We've seen it succeed as a carry, and we've seen it succeed as a support, right?
Yeah.
But vision has been so important throughout this tournament in that we've seen Beastmaster, who typically hasn't performed that well, excel in certain games where vision is the name of the game, right? We've seen Monkey King be able to just by scouting the backlines and choke points or Roche, just give so much control to heroes who like to hit from a distance. So we can see it paired up with something that's kind of long-ranged, like Alina in particular, but things like that. Or maybe a hero like Shaker who needs a setup for some kind of jump. And the Lion, he ticks a lot of boxes, right? He just gives you the hard disable that you don't need to worry about in your draft, but he's also a bit of a deny pick because then you're more concerned about picking the Spirits, who are incredibly popular mid laners.
So, now we're seeing Vici Gaming's draft. We have the opener back again to being safe. The Weaver Lina, very typical Vici draft. How would you follow this up? What is it that they do, Jenkins, as a team?
I think they need some setups done. That's pretty important. Lina, you know, the Yule's build is something you just like never see anymore. So, you know, Monkey King, obviously it's picked on the other side. That's a decent. Okay, that's all right. So you can like have the Elder Titan sitting in a side lane, and then like, you know, he's obviously going to throw the Spirit out occasionally and maybe try to sleep you. And then like one of these times that you get slept, Lina shows up and kills you. So it's nice to have a few heroes to play around. I remember when Lina was being picked as a 4, some of the best teams would pick it where they would have a mid laner that could set up and then a side laner who could set up too. So they'd have like a DK and then Lifestealer back when he had the slow. And that was how they would combo, where like Lina could go to either lane and get a kill. And now I think the same thing works for the mid lane, because you rotate from mid.
But now also just consider all the damage amp that this Lina is going to get. I really hope it's just a core Lina, like there's no way that it isn't at this point, but Elder Titan, his aura removes armor and it increases magic damage, right? So Lina, a core with mixed damage who does insane physical damage but also magical damage, these kinds of cores like Luna and Lina benefit so greatly from having an Elder Titan on their team. And paired up with Void, this is, you know, a tested combination. You just are a splitter into Chronosphere and then you throw out your Spirit and it just buffs everything that goes on. It's looking pretty solid in terms of damage output right now.
Minus armor on the Weaver bugs too, and Chrono, that's like nothing to scoff at for sure. Like I really like this Vici draft so far. It seems like easy to execute. There's a lot of combinations that they have. They do damage. They have team fight. Like it really does tick all of the boxes. I hate to, you know, repeat.
No, you're right.
It's like all of the boxes are totally ticked.
So they do pick DK, and DK's a durable type of hero who also just provides the tower damage that they didn't have going for them in the draft so far. But the thing is, like, we were talking about all of this damage coming out of Vici. Dragon Knight's gonna get shredded. They're not gonna have issues dealing with him later on in the game. So now T1 have to play for a bit of a timing where they can kind of push behind this Dragon Knight before he just dies. Because Lina is typically a hero that loves field Silver Edge too. That's usually her third item after BOTs and BKB. So I'm not sure why they liked this DK so much here, but I guess they really did need to fill that gap. And now they have 4 stuns, which is nothing to scoff at.
That's always good. The more stuns, the easier it is to play.
And very reliable as well, like Hex, Dragon Tail, even Fissure. Echo Slam is one of the few 0 cast point stuns in the game, so it's not hard to be able to stop any initiations.
I think we actually saw T1 playing versus LGD, I believe, and they picked Dragon Knight mid, and it was the only time that we saw Lina lose mid was to Dragon Knight. So maybe that's the thing. It's like, this is the only hero that deals with Lina.
There could be an idea here as well, because Elder Titan removes base armor, but that's not how Dragon Knight's armor works.
True, it's added armor.
So it's actually kind of, it counteracts ET's armor in that sense.
Yeah.
Is DK a call hero though? Is it the kind of hero you'd expect him on? Because it is similar to Doom in a sense.
You know what? This is going to be maybe a stupid prediction, but I feel like Carl might actually go for a Midas, because I remember him doing this at the Animajor, and I know that is the last thing that like Dragon Knights, I mean, people aren't even playing Dragon Knight, but that is the last thing that Dragon Knights have been doing prior to this patch. and like Blink Dagger into Midas maybe even, just because like I remember Carl distinctly doing that, and like that is just what T1 loves to do.
So T1 ban out Elsie, and I was actually thinking that would be a pretty nice pick because when you have 4 stuns, you need some kind of cleanse or something like that, which is what Elsie would have provided. But now that that's not available in the pool, they need some kind of blink initiator on Vici, some kind of follow-up, because typically Void can go in for you, but he works best when there's someone to kind of draw attention to themselves, so he can set up for a good Chronosphere.
Yeah, like a Spirit. If we didn't think the Selena was going mid, I'd say like Ember Spirit or something like that. Is it banned out?
Does Doom work here? Because they let him through, and I know that's one of the Old 11's favorite heroes.
That is one of his favorite heroes.
Oh no,
Beastmaster.
Beastmaster. It's been a while since we've seen Beastmaster for Old 11.
Okay.
This is a good Vici draft. I really like this draft.
Okay, why?
There's a lot. I mean, they've got tons of stuns. They've got tons of setup for the Lina. Like if the Selena goes to any of the lanes, you have the Beastmaster Roar to set up for her. You have the Faceless Void Chronosphere to set up both of the supports, amplify the Lina's damage. You have the Snowball from the Helm Dom creep on Beastmaster. It's like there's so many ways that Vici could win this game.
Yeah, and to add on to that, when we were talking about Monkey King earlier and how his ability to provide vision is so good for a hero like Lina who just likes to sit far back and hit things, now you have the Hawk to scout out the Monkey King in the trees, and you have Elder Titan Spirit just running around. So not only do they have the superior vision, but they just have the damage to deal with the durability of T1's heroes.
So what does T1 what hole do they need to fill in this last pick?
I could see them picking a Morphling, and I mean, well, okay, I guess against ET it's not so good. They need something that lanes
Or
decently
Lina.
against, yeah. Phantom Lancer doesn't seem that bad, but then again, you could go for the Axis build on Beastmaster. You're an Agi hero against ET.
And a Dawnbreaker.
Okay.
So is this a Monkey King?
Okay, 23 Monkey King. Maybe
Yes.
that's not so crazy.
Yeah, of course, that's what I was assuming.
Yeah. I thought it was gonna be a Dawnbreaker
Oh,
carry.
you thought it was Monkey King carry 2, right, Jink?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
I'm a professional here.
So Dawn Ags could actually be incredibly good in this game if Zephyr manages to get it because of the added evasion and the added healing, but it can heal through Chrono and through Roar pretty well. So if that's the idea that they were going for here, some kind of save, but also a strong laner, I think Dawn fits the bill pretty well. I like Vici's draft more though.
So to Effie's point, in case you don't get this, when you deal with Chrono, it being such a strong ultimate, you have 2 options. Phantom Lancer, for example, that just eludes it or avoids it, or alternatively, you mitigate it. And Dawnbreaker is trying to mitigate the damage in the Chrono, right?
True,
Jenkins?
of course, yes, of course. Dawnbreaker, very good against Faceless Void, although you don't stun when you ult into the Chrono, which is a bit annoying.
Yep. Well, we're gonna go now with the coach interview. So we have Vici's coach on the sidelines, and Frankie is ready to ask him some questions.
Indeed, we've got Fenrir here, and we've got Helen to translate as well. And Fenrir, I have one question for you. How important was it for you to secure Lina for Ori's mid lane this time? And was it also very important to deny Carl from having her?
只有一个问题，对你来说，抢 Ori 的 Lina 有多重要？同时，把对面 Carl 的 Lina 抢了，也会不会很重要？
怎么说呢？可能第一盘他的丽娜确实打得还可以吧，但是主要第一盘失利的问题，我觉得是我们对线犯了比较大的失误吧，跟丽娜没有关系。
Well, how do I say it? I feel like in game 1, his Lina was decent. However, I feel like why we lost game 1 was due to our lanes not going so well. It's not really about the Lina.
But very quickly then, is Ori's Lina better?
所以有个问题 ，Ori 的 Lina 会不会比他的更厉害？
那是肯定的。
That's for sure.
And you know what's for sure? That this game is underway, so we're going to head over to Cinderin and Sunsman right now.
Thank you very much, Frankie. Suns fan with Cinder and Vici Gaming versus T1 Game 2 of the best of 3. Vici Gaming, of course, have to win to stay alive. If T1 wins, they face off against... They get the pleasure of facing off against IG, who's the top of their group, coming into the main event. Your thoughts, Cinderin?
I think I really like both drafts this game just in isolation. Like when I look at both strategies, it's very clear what they're trying to go for. You've got the T1 strategy with some good team fight between the Monkey King and Shaker with some reliable setup from Lion and Dragon Knight. Dawnbreaker following up is amazing on all of these stuns like we've talked about before. Basically has 4 good friends in this game that just have stuns that help you get into the fight.
Yep.
You look over at Vici Gaming's lineup, they have the nutty teamfight combo of Void plus Elder Titan. And I think Lina is one of the best mid-heroes to play together with Void this patch. You have insane overwhelming damage in the Chronosphere of 2 damage types. You have the position 4 Weaver that's going to probably get a save against these single target stuns from T1. And then Old 11 on a Beastmaster high pressure hero that can get them ahead, get them vision. So really think this will be a closer game than game 1, even though, you know, Vici Gaming kind of pulled it back and made it competitive. I think this one we won't see like a 15k gold lead minute 30 for either team.
Unless Carl, no, I don't think the DK versus Lina matchup, I mean, you might end up even if you're really good, but
I do want to talk about this. It's good that you mentioned this, because we had another game this tournament with this exact matchup where it was Carl's Lina against Nothing to Say on Dragon Knight, and Nothing to Say won the lane. So I think that is the only hero this tournament I have seen Lina lose to a single time in that mid lane in the first 5 minutes. So gotta keep my eyes on this to see if it's a consistent thing or if Nothing to Say is just that good.
Yeah, might have just been an anomaly, but yeah, we'll have to see after this. I mean, still small sample size with 2 games, but either way, this is something I do want to mention now because I'm just really interested, as you might know, Cinderin, the idea of Dawnbreaker against Faceless Void. Do you go for, like, do you prioritize Ags this game? Because of the evasion, the extra HP regen that you get, you just have to not be chronoed yourself.
Yeah, so this is why Axe on Dawn is so beautiful against Void, is the problem that you face a lot of the time is when Void uses Chronosphere, if you ulti right away for the save, you end up, your hero physically comes from high up in the sky and falls down, but if there's a Chronosphere there, you get stuck on the top of the Chronosphere and your stun never lands.
Yeah.
So, but if you have Axe, the channel time is so long, you can just sustain it through the entire chrono, effectively giving, like you said, the 60% evasion and the healing. So yeah, absolutely, I think it would be an awesome choice this game. It would also kind of force both Ori as well as Poyoyo to get MKBs if they won't even kill on the chrono. So yeah, I think from my perspective, Zephyr should actually rush it. He shouldn't get a mech this game. It's just straight Ags. It's that good, yeah.
First item Ags.
I would love to see it. Wow. Optional Locket, maybe, but yeah, I think the Aghanims is just that good here.
Very cool. As we see Carl versus Ori, as we've already talked about, pretty even. I mean, 6 denies though for Ori. That's going to give him the level advantage for now, but to be expected between this particular matchup. Old 11's going to be playing the Beastmaster this time. I haven't gotten to see a ton of Beastmaster on him this tournament. It feels like that hero has tapered off a bit with the nerfs to Helm of the Dom. Well, Helm of the Overlord specifically. What are your thoughts on this choice this time around?
I think it's good. It fits well with their lineup, like the panel was talking about. Getting the vision advantage for your heroes is extremely powerful. And as far as Old 11 goes, he can sometimes be a feast or famine kind of player. I think this is the kind of hero that Old 11 can take charge on and get a lot of stuff done. Push towers, initiate fights for his team. His Mars in the last game was given, dealt, I think, a pretty bad hand. Like, it was a hard lane. I was playing against Razor, and overall their lanes just went horribly. So this is a different approach, and I think it's going to work very well here.
Whitemon is going to get the swarm applied to him, but the Earth Spike with the Hex and the Dust. PYW looks like he'll live. That takes heavy punish just for existing as a disgusting bug. Sorry, I just really hate bugs. So LSA is going to connect onto Carl. Ori. And once the rotations come, if Carl is still at this low HP, that's going to end up being an easy kill.
Okay, Nothing to Say is just that good, confirmed.
Yeah, I think so.
Ori is very far ahead of Carl this game.
It's not as bad as last game, though. The reverse is PYW gets caught off by that fissure. Cuckoo, a nice enchant totem. Trying to turn this around, but it looks like, one more right click will do it, but they can't reach him. Poyoyo will turn his sights to Whitemon instead. Swarm comes through, is going to connect on Whitemon, and he's going to tick down to those beetles. As Cuckoo just barely survives as well, so first blood goes the way of Vici Gaming this time.
Could you imagine that? What a way to go out. You've been to hell and back, and you didn't die there, and then you get killed by a little scarab.
Yeah.
Those scarabs have to be really nasty. That is...
Have you seen The Mummy? Why am I asking you anything? Carl getting chased by DY.
You fought and died.
We'll be fine, though. And it's just one of these mid heroes I find interesting, because a lot of these players that play mid are very mechanically skilled, and DK is like, you blink, you get a blink dagger, you blink, you initiate. You're almost like an offlaner where you just get kind of expedited levels.
Really high pressure here mid from Ori again. Carl will sustain, but will struggle to even use his Soul Ring to use mana right now without dying, and just keep getting.
Yeah,
Keeps laying into him there.
Living on the edge right now, which you kind of have to do if you want to get this XP. Now you can see Ori. Another LSA connects, and he's about to hit level 6 here in a couple
11 is in
creeps.
trouble top as well. This is a
lane. 23 Savage has the Jingu.
pretty tough position to be in.
The favorable trade.
Ooh, didn't
Starbreaker not
connect it,
going to
though.
fully connect.
Yep.
23 Savage and company just forcing them out of lane at the very least. Swarm
bottom lane.
again in
That's
the
an
bot lane.
insane time
Toyoyo gets the
dilation.
bash. Cuckoo continue to get chased and harassed by PYW. They're going to jump in with one more time walk, and the right click from PYW is enough to secure yet another kill for Vici Gaming.
Dilation is so good against Shaker in lane. He will always need to use Enchant Totem to farm, and that means if he has used the Fissure and you dilate after, you have such a long time where you can just run him down and make very quick work of him there with these two heroes. You know, this is a Faceless Void Weaver lane. It's not exactly a traditional lane, but they are winning this bottom lane as well. So this time around, Vici Gaming, totally different situation. And as we talked about, if they just don't get crushed like last
Carl.
time, maybe they'll be fine. Oh, whew. Well,
That's
there's
Dragon Slave.
Oh,
Oh, 50-50 Cinderin. Eternal Envy would be proud. Ori is going to spot out Zephyr now as the hammer will come back from whence it came. Looks like Whitemon takes a tumble in the bot lane though. As Ori looks to be fine. Still has the Laguna Blade to work with, but no mana to speak of. Was not able to secure the rune this time around. But a lot of pressure to this tower. I mean, 3 heroes here with the catapult as well.
And let's see how Carl does when he's playing from behind. I feel like it's been a while since that's been the case, that Carl lost his lane this hard. Even in the game when he was Lina against Nothing to Say's Dragon Knight, I think Carl was still having better conditions than this. And Dragon Knight, in my experience, doesn't perform very well from behind like this. Like, you really need some key stuff. You need boots. You need arguably upgraded boots into Dagger.
Chronosphere in the bot lane with the swarm from PYW. Cuckoo looks to be super dead. The question is who's going to get credit? It is the Beetle.
Yeah, he's going to get earn charges as well here, so going to drop one on Puyo immediately too.
Oh, 23 Savage. Ori's in the vicinity. Oh, all right. Preemptive jump here from 22 Savage. Good instincts. Gets salved.
He's still not safe though. Okay, now he is. Ori's showing.
Well, they're going to push with Beastmaster Hawk giving some vision here. Catapult doing some damage as well, but it looks like it'll be mitigated here.
They have no glyph, so they can't keep it alive until the wave connects. And they will respect the potential play of T1 there.
Yeah, Carl just trying to catch up. I mean, that's the one good thing about this rotation from T1's perspective is Lina wastes a little bit of time in that top lane, which means Carl can apply some pressure to the Tier 1 tower, which is obviously Dragon Knight's prerogative as a hero in general. Puyo in the bot lane, 38 and 12 for CS. And you can see 23 Savage just a little bit ahead with 42 and 11 in the top lane. Oh, Echo Stomp will connect onto Carl. It's going to set up the LSA, but a nice counter stun from Whitemon. They're going to try to turn this around as Carl gets some save from Zephyr. Gets off the Starbreaker. That's a big kill onto Ori. T1 finally on the board for game number 2.
Yeah, they brought a lot of heroes to ensure this kill, but it's big. And Carl loves to get that help, and it allows him to also start laying into the mid-tier 1 tower a little bit here. He needs to push out this wave ASAP if he wants to get more attacks in. Is working on it with the Breathe Fire. I think he will be able to at least get one more swing in here before Lina comes back, so that will be another nice amount of damage here with that Corrosive Breath.
Good ability.
Yep, it's very strong.
And it scales with each level in the ultimate Cinderin. Trivia for people that have never played Dota before. 23 Savage. It's not on the same level as your trivia.
Nothing is, though.
That's true. Zephyr trying to stop this push in the top lane. We see a TP coming. There's the Boundless Strike. Starbreaker does connect successfully into the Echo Slam. Ori's dead again. And now the Earth Spike to follow as T1. Great defense in the top lane. And this is 2 early deaths now on Ori, despite getting off to a really good start.
Excellent spell casting. They used the Boundless Strike. Okay, that was not excellent spell casting. Zephyr throwing a hammer to knock him out of the tree.
It happens.
That was on purpose. He was just griefing him before going back to base. Even on TI main stage, you know. At least what Jerax used to do was to ask before he griefed. Zephyr just does it, but... yeah, great defense. They get the Boundless Strike into the Starbreaker, and that allows for them to just barely connect with the Echo Slam. So very well done by T1 and on just delaying their stuns perfectly to get that kill. Shannon, we're 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's time for trivia.
Okay.
What is the square root of the sum of the cooldown of Roshan's abilities?
All right, that's a stupid question. Next.
It's a whole number.
Say it again.
What is the square root of the total cooldown of Roshan's abilities?
I don't know. 2.
That is very,
4,
very bad.
8. 12.
They're dying! Cast the fight!
Carl! Looks like there's going to be a trade. Synderen is trying to sabotage this cast. As you can see, the faceless boy dies. What is wrong with you? This is TI-10 main stage, for God's sake.
Yeah, we get to have a good time, though. That's important.
That's true. No, I agree.
The correct answer is 5.
That's the least interesting one. You know what? You're banned for 10 minutes from another trivia. That was terrible.
That's pretty good. I would have probably waited 10 minutes anyway.
Okay.
I'll take it.
But that's a pretty big kill. Yeah, Poyoyo.
They traded a support for getting the Void, so now both big cores on the Radiant side have died. Lina twice, Void once.
And neither of which have a kill, actually, which is actually more surprising on Ori, with only 1 assist. So taking part in only 1 kill overall this game. White Mon, he's going to run into a lot of heroes, but looks like he is more than fine. Zephyr going to chase them out here. Stallbreaker actually does connect with the finger of death from White Mon. All right.
Oh, it's such a satisfying spell.
I mean, getting a kill in general is satisfying, so if there's flashy particles and a nice sound.
There's something about Finger of Death.
You say that about every spell.
No, I don't. I say it about Finger of Death.
You said it last game about something else. It was Boundless Strike.
That was Boundless Strike with Jingu. I mean, you can't argue against it.
I'm not
That
arguing.
is really satisfying.
I'm just saying.
You know, it's also
You're
really
an easy man to
satisfying.
please.
Trivia in 10 minutes.
Oh, boy.
But not yet.
Carl doing more damage with that Corrosive Breath, which will cause
Gets denied.
Poyoyo to deny the mid-tower.
So at the very least for Vici Gaming, they denied that. But again, given Carl's start, getting this mid-tower minute at 11:30 is honestly pretty good. You know, he was pressured a lot, lost the lane to Lina, they ganked as well. But Carl still hasn't died in this lane. Has found his own fortune. Okay, Illusion Rune will go the way of the Dragon Knight. Obviously, keep in mind these solutions also have Corrosive Breath, so if Carl wants to, he can kind of do a little bit of a rotation move here. I believe at least they have the full Corrosive Breath, so he could send them to...
I actually don't remember. Do they stay in dragon form when he turns back?
Yes.
You sure about that?
Yeah. The reason you're not
Terrorblade
sure
is
is
the one that's
Terrorblade, but that's because his is an aura.
Yeah. Okay.
So they should stay in dragon form the full duration. Yeah. And I do believe I just saw that. Okay, they don't turn dragon.
Trivia: do they turn back to human or not?
I could promise you they used to.
Yeah,
they
well,
are.
You're a freaking boomer.
They're still in dragon form. It's just visual. They're attacking.
Oh, you're right.
No, go to Dragon Knight.
Okay. Damn it.
I told you.
Well, technically, I'm right. They are human form. They're just attacking in range form now. So we're kind of both. I mean, technically, I am the right one here, Synderen. So human form in visual aspect only.
I don't really want to give you this one. I don't feel like you're right.
All right, Echo Stomp. Oh, all right. Mischief not able to dodge that. But it's not going to turn into any fight yet. So Vici Gaming. They have some crazy team fight. Haven't really talked about this much, but the Chronosphere into the Earth Splitter as Cuckoo jumps in with that Blink Dagger, Enchant Totem. Here comes Zephyr as well. Starbreaker should cancel that Echo Stomp. That ends up being a freebie for T1. But yeah, a lot of setup, or not a lot of setup, but a lot of chrono damage once that's placed. And then once Weaver, Mr. PYW, I would assume goes for Ags next. If he's on the outside, you can... I mean, there's just so many options for Vici going forward. I really like their lineup.
It's pretty crazy, by the way. Carl is second on net worth now.
He's made a comeback.
Fully recovered, yeah.
I mean, part of it is because of the deaths on Lina have set her back a bit.
For sure. And the big breadwinner currently is, of course, 23 Savage on the Monkey King. No big surprise there. It's a good lane for him against the double melee hero.
Yep,
Weaver,
Swarm onto
PYW.
Zephyr. 23 Savage is in the area, though, so looks to be fine. As Poyoyo on the Faceless Void has the Orb of Corrosion, excuse me.
Yeah, the other item doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, Orb of Destruction was deleted, in fact.
PYW.
PYW might be in some trouble.
He got
Sentry
dusted.
is for the other side. Oh, the time lapse, but right back into the arms of T1. So another finger charge for White Mon. Is Earthsplitter actually coming in? He's going to connect on Cuckoo, trying to kill this annoying Wild Wing Ripper before his untimely death, I would assume. But 23 Savage has other plans. He gets off his ult with the Boundless Strike. Roar is there to keep them at bay, though. But it's going to be a second kill in favor of T1. And despite having that Roar, Looks like this is going to be the death of Beastmaster as well. But here comes Poyoyo. He gets a big Chronosphere. Not that much follow-up, though. They're going to find one kill onto the Earthshaker. Is Ori being pursued by the Monkey. 23 Savage. As the Boundless Strike connects Whitemon in the vicinity. This is going to be another kill onto Ori. Just such a rough game for him after that really good start.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll get to why I'm laughing so hard right now. Let's see if he gets out.
Carl looks
No
fine.
bash.
All right, tell me why you're laughing, Cinder.
All right, so Carl blinks in for the follow-up when they're on the Lina, and he shoots his Breathe Fire like 500 range away. Misses it completely and plays the sad trombone.
Nice. Well, at least it's a good effort, though. That's
yeah, and he is clearly having a laugh at it. Unfortunately for them, it didn't really matter, but that was funny. Oh my goodness. Well, it does happen. Misclicks happen even at the highest level, so it's a good thing that he can just laugh it off and continue on with the game. But yeah, another good overall sequence here for T1. And I was gonna say, Weaver with this Vessel, you would imagine that, you know, depending on when you get this item, it can have like varying degrees of importance, right? You're playing against both Dawnbreaker, Monkey King, and Dragon Knight, and you got it early on your Weaver, so you really want PYW to be involved in kills. It helps so much until they start getting the BKBs on DK and Monkey. Unfortunately for him, though, he was the start of that fight. He got killed first as, they found out DY.
Yep.
He is toast.
Tons of stuns. Disabled for an eternity, so another death for DY. So T1 kind of withstanding the, I want to say the very early laning stage, and have bounced back to a very high degree now. As 23 Savage is top of the net worth, as we see a replay. This is what you were talking about?
Showing us Carl. I like that in this highlight, we're all just looking for the
Let me see this
fail.
Breathe Fire. There he is. And all right.
It happens.
I mean, if you make an SFM on this and just change the angle, it ends up looking really epic, I'm sure.
Yeah. But make sure you play the sad trombone in your video, though.
True.
It happens. All right, next move. I think it's time for Vici Gaming soon to get something done here. 30 seconds on Chronosphere cooldown.
You were right. Zephyr is going for the Aghanim Scepter straight
away
up.
Nice.
He's halfway there already.
It's a great choice in this game.
I mean, the cool thing about this hero is the support. I mean, we've talked about the lane pushing and all of that, but the fact that she can actually farm without really needing much, just the hammer alone, allows you to take out waves. And very tanky to boot. PYW. Looks like he's, is he actually
Carl
working on
connecting
Axe
top
himself?
here.
Yeah.
They're looking for another kill on PYW. They might get it with Dragon Tail.
Yep, Dragon Tail initiation. Zephyr with the Starbreaker. They put Vision down a little bit late, so PYW is going to take a Breathe Fire in the trees, but won't be pursued any further. Yep. Carl's going to get roared. Laguna Blade to follow, but here comes the Solar Guardian. That's going to heal him up to a decent amount, or he just can't finish the kill quite yet. Carl getting pursued by PYW. One more right click should do it. No, he's in. The Chronosphere comes out, actually catches his teammate. Earth Splitter to follow. Whitemon is dead. Stomp onto basically everybody here, but 2 dead already for Vici Gaming, so advantage for T1. 23 Savage gets off the Wukong's command, trying to pursue a little bit further. They're going to find yet another kill. How has T1 stayed alive with everybody? And now trying to go for Poyoyo. Do they have the setup? Boundless Strike to start, the Time Walk to safety.
It was your own.
I actually cannot believe Carl lived. That was
got
insane.
a stat for damage taken in that fight for Dragon Knight. That was crazy. He took so much damage for his team, and they don't get the kill. The thing is, not but you know, he baits Weaver in, doesn't find the kill. Then he baits Elder Titan in, doesn't find the kill, and Vici Gaming just end up spending the entire time just desperately trying to at least get the kill they wanted to begin with. Solar Guardian coming in clutch there for sure.
Yeah, that was...
Zephyr changed everything.
And imagine when that gets buffed.
And imagine if they have one vessel charge. That's what I mean, right?
True.
They just don't have it for that kill on PYW, so they don't get it. And it snowballs the whole fight. With one vessel charge there, he gets the kill, gets another charge. They can go on to the next hero and keep that fight going. But yeah, just not able to. T1 clutch with the saves.
So T1 rocking a 2K net worth lead. Not quite as big of a lead as you would think, considering the 14-6 kill advantage right now. And of course, Poyoyo, we brought this up, but has had that Hannah Midas for a while, so we'll see if that ends up paying dividends. Still working on the BKB, though.
Yeah.
About 800 away from finishing that bad boy.
Has found a Quicksilver Amulet. Nice item on Void. You get that quick swing timer for an early bash, which helps you get bash ready again faster.
Oh, double BKB just picked up by T1. So
that's big.
2 cores now.
And it's close on Dragon Knight too. Only 600 to go for him as well. 700, pardon me. Took your math class last week. Didn't help.
You're making fun of the American education system as Laguna Blade going to be used to destroy Zephyr, who, again, still... I mean, they're going to actually... Once they get these 3 BKBs up, they're only 800 away from that Ags on Dawnbreaker. That feels like a very big power spike.
It is a really big item this game, for sure. All right, Roche is opened up here for Vici Gaming with 25 seconds on Dawn. They do have Swarm level 4, which is really, really good for killing Roche. PYW is just going to tank Roche so the bug doesn't. In comes Poyoyo, so...
T1, though.
Are aware.
They have Echo. Oh, my God, this would be a disgusting Echo Slam right
Smoke
now.
breaks.
Yep, Cuckoo in the vicinity. His blink gets canceled, but there's Carl with the initiation to start things out. Gets the Dragon Tail off, but Roshan looks like it's going to be taken out easily for Vici Gaming. They will lose the Elder Titan in tow, but there's the LSA actually catching the Earthshaker, so Cuckoo not really able to get off the initiation he was looking for.
Very good for Vici. They didn't have to use Chrono to secure the Roche either, so it means there's another play opening up for Poyoyo. He's gonna get enough gold for his BKB with that bounty rune picked up from Ori. So next move is on the horizon. Something else on the horizon. We're now past minute 20, so it's time for trivia.
Okay, I should have said 20 minutes.
You're gonna like this one, okay? What is the passive aura of Ring of Aquila called?
Is that in? Is somebody equipping that item right now?
They took it off.
The passive aura. I have no idea.
Give me your best
Ring
guess.
of Basilius aura. That's what I'm calling.
Aquila aura.
Oh my God, that was actually not that bad. Not that far away. I get half a point for that?
No.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, you got aura right, but it's an aura, so I don't know if that counts.
That's half, technically.
It's like
you know
saying,
how you
what
feel
kind
about
of ice
technically?
cream is this? And then you say licorice ice cream, but it was orange ice cream. You're like, I was close. I got ice cream right. I mean, come on. Of course, it's ice cream.
It's still true, though. Carl. Oh, we got
Echo.
the Echo Slam come out with the BKB's activate. Can they blow up? Faceless Void, absolutely. Earth Splitter does a little bit of damage there, but a big kill on Poyoyo by 23 Savage, who's still top of the net worth right now.
Very swift kill. And of course, they do find the core on Vici Gaming that does not have the Aegis in that Void. So would not have gone for that play onto Aura with Shaker, I'm sure. They do find Poyoyo, so very nice here. Gonna delay that timing of the Aegis. There's still 3 minutes 20 left for Vici Gaming to try to use this Aegis to get mid-tier 1. I still think that's what you really want to try to grab with this, but unfortunately for Vici Gaming, struggling a little bit to get in, right? Like, that's the problem. There's no dagger on Old 11. Your catch is pretty limited without it. Void can commit a time walk into Chrono attempt.
But they have the Helm of the Overlord Center. Old 11, he's got the big, juicy golem. No, it's the golem. There's no
They used to have a dragon.
Now it's a golem.
It died.
Yeah, this guy uppercuts like none other in the game. One of the best animations, in fact. Absolutely love this guy. As we see...
I wonder if his eyes glow in the dark.
That's a very random question.
They probably do, actually.
Okay, good to know.
Trivia.
Ori has the invisibility rune here. 23 Savage in the area with Wukong's command available, but of course they don't have Echo Slam, so this will be a little bit of difficult to hold, but 23 Savage does use the Wukong's command, gets roared inside his BKB form, but you can see Kuko and company just focusing on Ori. That is the Aegis down. DYW looking for a potential Echo Stomp here, but there's the jump in, a quick BKB by Ori, trying to turn it around. Laguna Blade takes off the head of Lion as Carl now trying to retreat, but there is the Chronosphere and the counteract from that Solar Guardian. I believe that is the Echo Slam Solar Guardian, or the Agnum Center, I should say. The evasion comes through as 23 Savage getting pursued, now completely surrounded. It's going to end up being an easy kill, surprisingly enough for Vici, as they continue to try to take T1 out. Echo Stomp onto 2. Now onto the high ground, they will attempt this as that Ogre is still beating the crap out of a dragon.
It is a golem.
What did I say?
Ogre.
Ogre Golem.
I'll give it. That's okay. It's
yeah, it is.
Let's
That's
say
true. That's true.
Crazy fight. Like, what's really important in this for Vici Gaming is two things. First of all, the amount of spells that T1 need to use to get the Aegis in the first place. They use Monkey King's ult, which ends up expiring. So they just run out of damage on T1. They really need this Wukong's command to continue that fight. Echo Slam was not available, I think, for Kuko, or at least didn't find a good one. And they were hoping to instantly hex Ori out of the Aegis. He popped BKB faster than they could hex. Yeah. Lion dies instantly. you have a Dragon Knight out of position who's trying to Dragon Tail the Lina, so effectively you just put yourselves in a really bad position when your spells were down. And in hindsight, it's easy for us to say, just take your Aegis kill, be happy with it, back off and lose the tower. But that was not going to work with the way T1 set that up, and they got punished for it pretty hard.
And keep in mind, they didn't have the Echo Slam still, so just came back off cooldown as they used it earlier to get a kill prior to that. But you can see the confidence from T1, not having a big ultimate like that, still feeling like they can take him out, but the quick fingers from Ori.
And you did see the impact of Solar Guardian in that fight, by the way. He used it on the Chrono Dragon Knight, who took no damage from Void.
Yep.
He was actually healing while Dragon Knight, or while Void was attacking him, just nothing coming out from Poyoyo onto that DK. So if things are set up a little bit better for T1, you're going to see that Solar Guardian play a really big role.
Top of the net worth, though, after dying a couple times, Cinderin, Ori doing very well now. His score doesn't look that great, 3-4-3, but considering he started at 0-2 and 1,
yep,
has definitely bounced back, going for the MKB, which
big item
he went Crystallis first, so I'd assume as the Shadow Blade or the Silver Edge was planned, but switching it up now.
Yeah, he has to solve this Solar Guardian problem, as we talked about. Both Lina and Void will likely be going that route, and they do indeed. Void is going to finish Sange and Yasha, and then he's got it planned as well here, Poyoyo. So, you know, you can look at this from two perspectives. You can say glass half full or glass half empty. It's like, yeah, when they both get MKBs, how good is my Ags? But the other way of looking at it is, wow, I made 2 cores by MKB. Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is worth the 200 gold.
It's not like it's bad.
It's not a bad item, but it's not what they want, right? It's not the standard build that these two heroes will go for. They're doing it out of necessity here, not because they really want to.
Right.
So you force their hand with 1 support item, which is pretty nice for T1.
Vici Gaming sporting the 3K net worth lead. Now this game is super close, and again, just to reiterate the implications, if Vici loses this, they are out. And if T1 wins, IG is their next opponent. That is technically correct, Cinder. Thank you.
And what do we say to that? Technically correct is?
The best kind of correct.
Thank you, Chan. You've been paying attention. That's very nice.
I feel like you're a puppet.
I asked you earlier today, and you said terrible. And I was like,
because I'm sick of interacting with you. I'm just sick of your shits. And
understandable. Have a nice day.
Zephyr in the trees. He's being spotted out right now. Old 11. I mean, they're just trying to ensure that they will find this kill. They have to expend the roar, but it's going to be an easy one.
Yep. No problemo here.
It's like, hey, Poyoyo, would you like a kill by any chance?
Don't mind if I do. And yeah, the roar is a relatively low commitment spell, right? It's 80-second cooldown on level 2 here for Old 11. So they just want to use that whenever they can to get a pick. And this is a very reliable place to find Dawn, by the way. Like we talked about the last couple of Dawnbreaker games we've cast, this hero will often gravitate to the top area on Dire to just push out that lane while the team plays together as 4. And then you want to connect with them with Solar Guardian. So Old 11 can keep sending Hawks up here in the tree line and has a very high chance of finding that Dawn. PYW with the Axe completed has found a Psychic Headband as well, so good cast range.
Oh, yeah, that's fortunate
that. So
for him.
It's 700 instead of 600.
Yeah, so time lapse can be used on allies with a very low cooldown of, I believe, 20 seconds. And the extra cast range now to follow. So this is, I mean, I feel like we talked this item up so much, and then in the games, at least the ones we've cast, it has been basically a non-factor. But theoretically speaking, it is super strong.
I feel like even in the games that... So we had one game where the LGD found this amazing chrono with Ame, right? Where Weaver couldn't reach.
Yeah.
But in the Secret versus... Who was it? In the group,
there was one
Secret Elephant, that marathon game where the Weaver Axe did so much work for Elephant. They did lose though, but it was super impactful in that game for sure. PYW hiding off to the side here. If 23 Savage were to get eyes on him, this could be trouble, but he's going to TP out with Shukuchi.
Yes, 23 Savage just continuing to farm up. So, any items of note, Cinder, that we should be looking forward to? I mean, Old 11, we already talked about the Helmet of the Overlord and the Blink Dagger, of course. Looks like Refresher. It's, I mean,
he can barely support that with his mana, to be honest, but it might just work out.
That's true. Oh, we got the Dragon Tail to start things out on the PYW. Do the burst damage, indeed. PYW with another death to his name and another charge for
the hero you want to
Finger.
find as T1, because anyone else could get saved by Weaver at any point. And your single target burst on T1 can kill one hero one time. That's basically the limit, right? You have Finger of Death, Dragon Tail, Boundless Strike, and maybe a Fissure. If the target gets time-lapsed, you can't do it all over again with the lineup that you have. So very important, if possible, to get on top of that Weaver.
Oh, double damage bottom.
Yep. Ori is
the hex from Whitemon. He's actually going to leave it for 23 Savage, and that is another death now for Ori. Very unfortunate. It's Cuckoo.
So cocky.
Echo Slam BKB.
I mean, from our perspective, obviously this looks crazy, right? He doesn't have the exact vision that would allow him. I mean, okay, let's take a look down there again, right? So they do have an Observer Ward in the Radiant, but they only have the one that oversees the river, not the enemy side of the river. So Ori just, how to say, he gets a false feeling of safety there from the ward. If he didn't have the ward, I don't think he would have gone for the rune.
Right.
So the ward actually working against him here and giving him that safety feeling that wasn't there. And T1 punished very quickly with the Blink Lion, get a huge kill on
This is still scary. I mean, 30 seconds death timer for Lina, but you're going against Chronosphere, you're going against Elder Titan, quite possibly top 3 Roche defenders in the game.
Yeah. And you're going against Void ET, and they're going to give up.
I just said that.
Yeah.
Yep, they're against Void ET.
You didn't say they gave up.
Okay, true. Old 11 just biding his time here. Can obviously gain so much vision with these Hawks. He does have the Shard as well, by the way, which reduces the cooldown of the Hawk and gives you the... What is the actual ability called?
Dive Bomb.
Dive Bomb for the suicide mission for those Hawks.
That is an awesome skill name.
Yeah.
I like that one a lot. That's good.
I agree. As we now have a smoke from Vici. Looks like Carl did finish his AC, so very, very tanky.
Okay. Ori just walks into the pit and looks around the pit and walks out.
Nobody here.
It's like he saw Roshan for the first time. Nope.
Yeah. Both teams very cautious right now, for good reason. This game, obviously, a fairly big deal. Echo Stomp from afar, Poyoyo. He's going to get Dragon Tail to start things out, but Carl looks like he might be regretting his decision, just waddling away right now. Time dilation on top of him. Has to pop his ult along with the BKB, trying to turn this around onto the Void. They get him to about half HP, but doesn't look like they can actually finish off Poyoyo.
They're worried about committing because they don't see PYW, so they don't want to throw spells into the air and get no value. They need some insane burst catch there to kill him before the Weaver can react, and they don't have it.
I like this. They need to fight now. They've already popped the Dragon Form and his BKB.
Elder Titan is going to see them, though. Astral Spirit, if he is paying attention, gets the feedback there.
Ori showing himself. Oh, the initial. Oh, they actually missed the stun there from Cuckoo. And he'll have to hightail away here. 23 Savage does get off his ult with the Boundless Strike as well. Poyoyo pops his BKB. They're going to blow up the Lion, and Cuckoo's dead next. That means T1 likely will try to fall back, but that is the buyback now from Cuckoo. 23 Savage on the trees. He gets roared mid-leap. They're going to see him. They're going to drop that tree, and down goes the Monkey King.
Huge fight for Vici. They find 3 kills, and one of them buys back, and on a core, they're the Shaker. And if T1 want any chance of holding this Roche, they're going to need more of those buybacks. They can't hold that with these 3. There's not enough damage between them.
Yeah.
Unless all 5 of Vici Gaming's heroes go together in a huddle and get Echo Slammed, you're not winning this fight, and Vici Gaming will not do that.
So this is Roche number 2, Vici Gaming. Going to get the Aegis likely on Ori. Poyoyo, I would assume, takes the Shard. And he does indeed. So that's going to give him the extra cast range on Time Walk and the reverse Time Walk, which looks funny, but is actually not bad for baiting spells.
Right. It's a very good way of getting vision. I think that's the most underappreciated part of the spell, is that you can jump in, gather information, and jump out.
It is smokes, a little bit hairy against the Lion, though.
Yeah, it can be tricky for sure. But against most lineups, you will be able to jump in, get a little bit of intel, jump out, and maybe that sets up your team for success. Maybe you break a smoke, maybe you bait a spell, like you said. There's a lot of upsides to this.
Vici Gaming taking control of the outpost now, and you can see in terms of the tower pressure, they have top basically down. The tier 1 and tier 2, so the tier 2 mid will likely be their next choice. But bottom lane, the tier 1 is still there. So, see what they want with this Aegis. If they attempt to go high ground, again, with a Weaver, with that Axe, I feel like going high ground is not that risky. depending on what T1 can try to do to counteract that.
That's true. You could put the, as long as Lina has vision, which you can give her perhaps with a hawk from an angle, she can just hit the tower from the low ground even.
Oh, they have vision here. They know that. Oh, actually,
Carl.
that's T1's vision.
Carl gets
He's going to be
by
spotted.
the
Yep, that's no blink dagger for you. Poyoyo jumps in. Laguna Blade, goodbye, Carl. And even if he bought back, he will not have Dragon Form for quite a while.
True. Earth Splitter for the fireworks as well. They didn't want to give him any chance there. DY, they throw everything at him, and, well, most of it sticks. The only thing that doesn't stick was the one that was too late. So a nice kill for them, and that's going to be at least Tier 1. I don't think Tier 2 is possible. Obviously, the wave bottom Zephyr has done a great job pushing that all the way into the enemy Tier 2. But honestly, what Vici Gaming could do here is go high ground mid.
I thought they would do that, yeah.
They can definitely do that now. 3 minutes on Lina's Aegis. You know there's no DK. Force that buyback and go with it that way. They're going to cut this wave first, though. Still have enough time. They're going to just try to backdoor the tower. Okay. Well, DD on Lina will do that with Beastmaster Aura.
Can they?
There is Glyph if they want to, but they're probably going to save that for high ground, you imagine. Yep, they're going to give it up.
Oh, no.
They're not.
So it's going to regen a bit as a result, and Vici Gaming
is going to regen.
Wondering whether there's going to be a hold here or not, but as we can see, that is not going to happen.
We can watch this tower regen for another 10 seconds if we want. It's going to take a while to heal up to full. But they're going back
even
in.
longer now to heal up.
Okay, they can do it without the DD.
I mean, imagine uppercutting a building. The fact that he can uppercut a building is impressive.
Yeah.
This granite golem.
Very big boy.
Big boy indeed. All right, we got the Scotty online for 23 Savage, but Poyoyo has one of his own, which against this lineup, against Dawnbreaker, Monkey King, and Dragonite, extremely good for the counter regen. Carl jumps in, has his ult activated as well. They will go. The time lapse again, saving Ori, but he's going to get bursted down very slowly. The Aegis goes down despite using the BKB. Chronosphere on top of 2, but there's the Solar Guardian. You can see how much Cuckoo is healing, but the Laguna Blade just rips right through him. No buyback on the Earthshaker. It's a 5v4 just like that.
Splitter.
Yep, we got the Earth Splitter coming out. Trying to apply this pressure to Zephyr right now. A nice Starbreaker, but Poyoyo should be able to finish him off as most of T1 just hightailing back to base. Carl gets taken out. No Dragon Form for you. And Vici Gaming look primed and ready to force a game number 3, Cinderin.
23 Savage having a bit of an identity crisis, saying, I'm not scared, bro, I'm Cuckoo. No, sir, Cuckoo is your teammate on Earthshaker who died before you, trying to find a kill on a Weaver.
Yeah, GG's going to be called. It is
nice game for Vici Gaming.
So difficult to play into Weaver Aghanim Scepter. I mean, they had to kill Cuckoo several times over, but they did so regardless. And T1 now potentially, I mean, they're both on the brink of elimination, technically speaking, Cinderin.
Loving the adjustments from Vici Gaming this game. I really think they got a much better game. The key part for me, even though Ori got ganked a bit, again, the tables were turned in the game from the get-go, right? He's winning his lane. He's forcing the rotations onto him from the enemy team, and it just opens up for both the Beastmaster to maybe get a better game than you could have expected, especially both Faceless Void and Weaver crushing the bottom lane as well. As a result of that, they just end up getting so many victories across the map. And that really, to me, is one of the key parts. And Vici Gaming's lineup, just both drafts are great. But ultimately, Vici Gaming come out ahead with that awesome team fight, and of course the Weaver save to close it out in the end. But yeah, what a nice game. Honestly feels like Game 3 is anyone's game. These two teams are very evenly matched. This game was close a lot of the way. So
that's right, Cinderin. Very well said. My goodness, you are such a good analyst. I'm so lucky to be right next to you right now. But game number 2 is over, so let's see what the panel has to say about this as we head to a Game 3 very soon.
Vici Gaming has taken game number 2, forcing us to have a game 3. And one of the things that both Cinderin and Sunsfan were saying was that Vici Gaming really shaped up that in this last game, and they had a lot of control. So tell me what they did. How did they shape up AUI?
I think it was a control on top of having the heroes to. I mean, it's not like they pushed the tempo, but. Insane, you help me because I completely blanked out.
I'll tell you what it
sorry.
is. It's all my boyo-yo, po-yo-yo. That Faceless Void itemization was top tier. I think him going for a more tanky-oriented build was probably the solution, because I think generally if there's a Lina in the backlines, then you don't need to worry about damage yourself. You just need to worry about the initiation. You just need to worry about surviving Dawnbreaker Solar Guardian. And so he was able to pull that off. Lina was chucking the fireballs in. It was a good 1-2 punch from Vici Gaming.
Yeah, I feel like for me, these two teams, what I learned from watching Game 2 is I feel like neither of them really have a good way of shutting each other down. And I think when you have the heroes that are enabled by that in the early game, which I feel like Vici had more of this game, their heroes scaled nicely against T1s. The team that is going to get that condition on their side is favored. And that's what I feel like this Game 2 was.
To be honest, I know Carl, like I was looking it up, his most played hero in competitive is actually DK, but I don't think it suits what T1 want to do this patch. Like when I think of Carl in this tournament so far, he's had some Lina getting Omega farms to farm fast, some Doom with Midas. When I play pubs with him, he would go Midas on Queen of Pain and scale like a monster. Like if they look at their matchup versus Vici, I think they should go for what's already sort of the style and sort of commit to it.
Yeah, I mean, I assume if we can see it here on the panel, they'll figure it out too, right? You've had 2 games now. You got to see the outcome of these different types of games, and then for Game 3, I would imagine it's going to be a scale war. Who can scale up the hardest? Who can get the timings? Who can get the matchups? And then, because I feel like once the teams hit their timings, they're both really good at using it, and that's why you see these like really tight team fights, and you see these like potential comebacks coming into the games, and where the game swings back into their favor.
Would you say that this was a close match? Like, if you were to look at that stat screen, it's very hard to tell who the definite winner is, right? It seemed like it was going back and forth a little bit with all those team fights.
Yeah, I'd say it was pretty close. I think like a different team in those drafts, like I think either draft could have won. But for these 2 teams in particular, I think Vici ended up pretty dominant.
Yeah.
I think in particular, I think like Beastmaster's vision that game with all the suns, like it just lets you play your map better.
Yeah, I think Beastmaster, if you can get him past the laning phase with a decent game, and they definitely did this time, you're just setting yourself up for success because you're controlling a lot of map space with a Hawk. You have a BKB piercing stun. And why that is important is because as the game scales up, people start buying BKBs. Right. And one of the biggest struggles that you have is if you're not able to kill a hero, then you have to ignore it, and it's 9 seconds of free damage. But when you have the Roar, whoever's BKB still has to keep this positioning in mind. And I think, I mean, Old 11 played this game amazingly. I think he really, really shined on that Beastmaster.
So these stats are up, but for someone at home who may not know if 227 last hits and 557 experience per minute it is a high number, can you just kind of explain these stats? Like, are they good? Are they average? Are they TI average? Or what are your thoughts on them?
It can be relative to the length of the game, so the per minute stats are always a little bit tricky depending on how you look at it. From Old 11's typical offlane performances, I don't really consider him to be as greedy as Cuckoo, who's on T1 right now. Old 11 is a little bit more sacrificial. Generally, offlaners right now are all edging on the greedier side these days. Old 11 still less so on the spectrum compared to Cuckoo, but these numbers are more reflective on how dominant Vici Gaming were across the map. I know AUI, you were noticing like it's been 30 minutes and they're only just now taking the mid-tier 1 tower. The fact that he was able to find
tier 1 at 34 minutes when they were winning the game. Like they're up 9k at 34 minutes before they took the tier 1.
And in comparison, Cuckoo has a surprising number of last hits on an Earthshaker in a losing game from an offlane position. And again, I think that's a testament to how he's typically more of a greedy offlaner.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at the stats, right? You had a 3-1-9 Beastmaster, so he's only died for about like 20 seconds of that game. He was playing most of it, whereas Cuckoo has 6 deaths, and he's keeping up like fairly well in CS. So that's just
considering the 2 heroes, right?
Right,
Beastmaster just kills more creeps. You have a board to push out waves.
Precisely.
It's very interesting to see these comparisons because the game is really complicated. Like I've said it so many times, the game is so complicated. The numbers are there, but it really matters like what heroes are picked, how long the game went. Oh gosh, trying to wrap my head around it is pretty confusing. But now we have 1-1, right? And Vici Gaming has managed to tie it up, and now both teams are potentially facing this elimination, right? And the winner will go on to guarantee themselves 5th or 6th place. So it's really important for these teams to reset, like we mentioned earlier. And like Vici Gaming said, they want, like the last time that this happened, they didn't do well in their next game. Now, on the other hand, what can T1 do to really reset this? Do they need to change up their strategy a little bit? Aiden, you mentioned earlier that they needed to break out of their comfort zone. Do they return back or do they keep going out?
I thought going into this series that if Vici didn't break out of the comfort zone, it would be very, very hard for them because I thought T1 was better at basically, I felt like both teams do the same thing, but T1 does it better. But I think proven by the second game, you know what? Vici actually can stand their ground in playing like the slow game or whatever you want to call it, the patient game. For me, I feel like if I was in either draft position and I was like looking at it objectively, I'd say we both are going to just have to try to outscale each other. And when two teams are trying to outscale each other, it comes down a lot to the matchups and what kind of timings you can hit in the game. Because you want to hit a timing that's usually slightly later than your opponents, but stronger. So if they're aiming for like an 18-minute timing, we want to hit a timing at 19. So like our timing comes later, but it's slightly stronger than theirs.
That's so specific. To go 1 minute later in timing, how do you figure that out?
That's extremely difficult. And I think it's one of the hardest parts of drafting.
I think it's all about like Dota's like a relative game, right? Like,
Right.
You talk about these timings, you talk about team fight, anything really. If you can do it just slightly better than your opponent, or you have slightly more of it, you just have all of it more than your opponent. And I think I agree with Insania. That's what's going to happen in this game. I think there's like a choice to be made here. Like, do you double down on this slower pace of Dota, scaling team fight late game comps? Or do you try to like throw a fast one and just like go all in with a strategy? Like, oh, they're going to have an 18-minute timing. We're going to go at 10 minutes. You're not even going to make it to your timing. But I don't think either of the teams will actually do that. I think they're just going to double down.
I say I want to see them split the average. I want to see T1 split the average. I want Carl not on a DK type hero. I want him to carry the baton early on for early to mid game timings. And I don't want 23 Savage on a mid game hero like Monkey King. I want him on the scaling core. I want him to be able to be the late game insurance that T1 might need. And then Cuckoo, Zephyr, and Whitemon can help out accordingly. I imagine Cuckoo, being as greedy as he is, will edge more late game. So let Whitemon and Zephyr play with Carl earlier on.
You mentioned Monkey King, and when I think about it, Monkey King is one of like the most picked, most banned, like most contested hero, right? So if they don't give Monkey King, or if they don't pick it, would they ban it because he's been so strong in multiple positions?
He's been strong in multiple positions, and it's a Poyoyo favorite as well.
Right.
So I think targeting it earlier on. I don't remember what the first phase bans were in this game number 2.
From Vici?
Yeah, from Vici.
Trent West.
Trent Wisp, okay. And then T1 banned out what?
Tiny and oof.
Was
I
it
don't
Tide
remember.
or Tiny?
I
It was
don't
Tiny
remember.
+1.
I don't think Doom was banned in the first phase.
No, I don't think so either.
And yet T1 didn't pick it, which was strange. But
Yeah, I think T1 should. I mean, that's an ultimate scale, right?
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Please finish your point.
No, that's exactly what my point was.
So what your point was is that they should have picked Doom.
Oh, yeah.
But why?
Because the Carl signature. I need to
Well,
see Carl operate.
Yeah. It's about the gold, right? Like
Right.
if both teams are playing this slow, methodical style, Doom he literally creates gold from nowhere.
Right.
Like usually you're limited on your map resources and you assign farm to different heroes. As you know,
Right.
the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 system is how much farm you're supposed to accumulate on each player.
Mm-hmm.
But there are heroes that break that, like Alchemist or Doom, who just create gold out of nowhere. And if the game is slow, you're just getting more than your opponent.
So on the other hand, you mentioned both Alchemist and Doom. Why not Alchemist? I'm trying to run through like the mind of draft.
I think it's for me. It breaks down to this: if you have two teams that both want to sit on their own sides of the map,
Yep.
then there's only so many camps, right?
Right.
If you think about a team like OG, they'll invade the other side of the map and they'll take camps away from you and take them to their own side. So they're basically increasing their size of the map that they are farming. I think for these two teams, since neither of them are very willing to do it, they'll do it when the timing's right, but generally speaking, they will try to avoid it. Items like Hand of Midas, they're increasing the gold that you get from your side of the map. And Doom's Devour does a very similar thing because you're just getting bonus gold every 60 seconds or whenever you finish devouring that creep. So for that reason, I feel like it's going to be a strong hero for the series. Plus his ultimate scales up very well into any game. So it's just, it feels like the right hero for T1. If I was Vici, I'd be really scared about going up against it.
So one of the things that I've heard you guys mention a lot is Midas. Jenkins mentioned it earlier that Midas, Vici Gaming is a Midas fan. How has Midas been doing in this meta? How's it been doing in this tournament?
I don't have the stats on it, but I would imagine it's not been very popular among the other teams. But I think specifically for this series, and this is why TI is such a cool tournament, because you can look at two teams and be like, hey, the meta doesn't actually matter here. This is just about the styles of these two specific teams and how they've done. And you've had so many games to watch because they've been playing forever. Like
Right.
there's so many games of like data to look at and be like, okay, this is the way they're going to approach this. Most likely, they're going to approach this game in this set way. And suddenly, an item that probably isn't that popular becomes very, very good for this specific series.
Do you think that Vici Gaming had any modifications to their gameplay against EG? Because coming into it, I thought that for sure EG were favorites, considering the two stylistic differences. I thought that EG lane mechanics superiority would prove to be too difficult for Vici to deal with.
I felt like during I think it was first day of main event or maybe second day, I felt like taking control was the most important part of the game. But then Secret showed that you don't have to do it.
That's right.
And that kind of, for me at least, broke up the meta. And I feel like ever since then, the teams that are hitting slightly later timings, I feel like are having an edge, or the teams that have a very, very good answer to what it is you're trying to bring to the table.
All right, Tsunami. We have two teams that are facing elimination right now. Can you drum me up like a nice narrative for this match?
I like how you asked the one person who hasn't played at a TI to do it, but sure, I can give you the.
But you have the emotion.
That's true.
I want to hear the storytelling voice from a man who's dressed like a video game character.
Listen, it's Friday night, all right, and I wanted to celebrate the occasion exactly. Southeast Asia versus China. I know for T1 specifically, immense amount of pressure for their entire region right now. At least Vici Gaming, I'm sure they're still intra-regionally competitive, but China as a whole has been aching for a TI for years, since TI 6 by now. They had to wait. 2020, no one really knew which region was the best. Everyone was just assuming that Europe was leaps and bounds above everyone in terms of competitive mechanics and strength and stuff like that. And then as the DPC rolled around, we saw China and Singapore and Kyiv.
Right.
Now someone needs to solidify it here in Bucharest to really make this China's year. T1 are looking to make the highest placement for a Southeast Asian team since I think a Fnatic from TI 4 or 5. And so I think just in terms of the regional pride, that's what I'm most excited about between these two teams. Facing elimination, that's just another day at the office here at TI. You're going to have to do it anyway.
Another day at the
Another
office
day at the
here
office.
at TI. Now, we don't have any draft yet, but I want to know which team you three each have for taking this series. And I know that that's very hard because there's no draft, but I would like to know anyway.
I think coming into the series, I would have given T1 the edge. I think the way that they approach Dota is, in my opinion, it felt strong against Vici's playstyle. But I feel like based on game 2, I think Vici might have something good cooking. And I feel like they kind of understand what it is they need to do in order to win the series. So I'm just going to make it very political. I think if Doom is picked by T1, I think they have a great shot at winning this. But I think this is a really, really close series, and the picks are going to matter a lot.
Very diplomatic answer, Tsunami.
I would have been the opposite. I think coming into the Vici EG series, if I hadn't seen that, then I would be like, I don't think Vici has what it takes to be a game 3 winner. But after seeing that, I see that they are willing to adapt, and I don't know if T1's been tested as much as Vici has quite yet. So I think Vici's got this for game 3.
For myself, I also thought T1 was going to take this series, actually pretty easily, to be honest, coming in. But they were covering one of TI losses with Vici. I feel like they've learned a lot from that experience, and they'll bring it into this game 3.
We will see what happens in this game 3 right now.